definition of cryptozoology is the study of animals that haven't been proven to exist, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and Chupacabra. And Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Loch Ness Monster are called cryptids. And these are people's opinions of cryptozoology. Many people believe that cryptozoology should not be a science. My opinion of cryptozoology, I think cryptozoology should be considered a science because the definition of science is systematic knowledge of the physical or material world gained through observation and experimentation. To find out about cryptozoology, people experiment and observe. For example, Sasquatch hunters use techniques to find out about Bigfoot. I once saw on this Sasquatch hunting show where people put donuts on a string and then wait overnight to see if the Bigfoots would like eat the donuts, and then they'd search for hairs and like see if they belong to like Bigfoot or not a fox or raccoon or anything. And that's experimenting and observing. You might be saying right now, the definitions of systematic knowledge are the physical and material world. Cryptids don't exist, so it's not physical or material. Well, there are animals that were once cryptids and now are proven to exist like over here. And these animals now are part of the physical and material world because they exist. And right here, this is like a Bigfoot size comparison. I learned on this Bigfoot hunting show that sometimes Bigfoots could have like white or gray hair. Just like humans, when they get old, they get white or gray hair, and that's what happens right there. And that's a 6-foot male, and that's Bigfoot size comparison to it. Over here, we got once cryptids, which are animals that were once considered cryptids, but are now proven to exist. The reason I put in animals that were once cryptids is because I think that Bigfoot could easily be added to this list. Mountain gorilla and kangaroo are very common animals today that were once cryptids, and that makes me believe that Bigfoot could be out there. This animal right here is the African unicorn. It's kind of like a zebra/deer mix. It's kind of weird. This is a Ziphius, or a Cuvier's beaked whale. It's kind of like a dolphin. This is a devil bird. This is like a normal bird. And this is a platypus. Perry the platypus from Phineas and Ferb. You don't know what a platypus is. This is a mountain gorilla. That's very common, but it once was a cryptid. And a kangaroo, that's also another very common animal, which once was a cryptid. And giant squid. Probably a lot of you thought that giant squid wasn't an animal that was proven to exist, but it actually was proven to exist in 2005. Over here, we got Bigfoot evidence and sightings. I have 7 Bigfoot sightings right here, some pictures and size comparisons. And here are my sightings. Okay, so my first one was happened in February 1978 in Washington State. Okay, so there's a guy named Ced Unglin, and so he, his son, and his friend from Westport were driving along the Bonneville Power Administration Road about 8 miles northwest of Davenport when they spotted gigantic footprints on the side of the road. Ced Unglin thought the tracks were about 18 inches, and these tracks couldn't have belonged to a bear because there were no claw marks in the tracks, and the pattern of the tracks wasn't that of a bear's, because a pattern of a bear's would be like 2 right there, and then 2 right there, and then 2 right there, and they were like that. They weren't bears. But bears can walk on 2 feet, but it's only for like a few seconds, and these tracks went on for like 100 feet. They could never walk that long. And my second one was in April 1987 in Washington State again. On the night of April 9th, 1987, a Washington State University anthropologist named Grover Krantz received a phone call from Paul Freeman, who's a Sasquatch hunter who found some evidence of Bigfoot. So he interviewed this family that went out in the Blue Mountains for a camping trip. And in the middle of the night, they were woken by loud screams and the snapping of branches. They were so scared that they left the area. And when they told Paul Freeman about this incident, Paul visited the area and to find some evidence of Bigfoot. He found different sized tracks that were probably made by 4 different Bigfoot. One of the Bigfoot had made tracks 11 inches long, which must have been a kid. 2 big feet had made tracks around 14.5 inches long, and the last one had made tracks that were 17 inches long. These tracks went on for about a mile. He made 3 casts out of these tracks, 2 from the ones that had the tracks length of about 14.5 inches, and 1 from the one that had 17-inch long footprint. Freeman also found some snapped trees, some hairs, and a purported bed for a Sasquatch. 2 days later, Paul Freeman and a couple of his friends, including Grover Krantz, searched further down the trail and found out that the Bigfoot with the 17-inch long footprints went on 5 more miles than the other big feet and made 2 more casts. And this one was very close from here. It was on June 15th, 2006 in Sarpy County, Nebraska. So on the evening of June 15th, 2006, somebody, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but I think it's a girl because she screams in the story. Okay, so somebody was driving their truck up a hill, and there was a creature with very dark fur, and it was about 7.5 feet tall, standing in the middle of the road. The creature ran off the road when he saw the truck coming towards it, and he ran off the road in 2 strides. Somebody stopped the truck, got a flashlight out, and got a flashlight, got out of the truck, and started flashing the beam in the woods where the creature was hiding. He or she could hear the creature crashing through the brush and making grunting noises. 2 bright eyes stared into the light, and the person, probably a she, screamed and got back into the truck and drove away, sped off. As she sped off, and she looked into the rearview mirror as this was happening, the creature was trying to pellet her truck with sticks and rocks. This one is another one in Nebraska, but it's not in Sarpy County. It was on April 7th, 2010. It was in Knox County. There was this guy who was coming home from a fishing trip. He turned a corner, and there was a field that had an abandoned house with a small pond and some hills in the distance. Usually there were some deer roaming around there, but this time there was a tree that had never been there before. But then he realized that the tree was moving. It was a man. He stopped his truck and got some binoculars out. He looked into the binoculars and found out that it wasn't a man. It was a creature 78 feet tall with dark fur all over it, and that creature was carrying a dead deer in one of its arms. This scared the guy so much that he dropped his binoculars and sped off in his truck. This one is another one in Nebraska, in Wayne County, January 1995. Okay, so there's this guy who was leaving his house to go to college, and his house was next to the woods. And he looked in the rearview mirror of his car and saw a very tall creature standing next to a tall leafless bush. He stopped the car and turned around to get a better look. The creature started running into the woods. He said the creature was about 7.5 feet tall and had tanned brown hair. He told the president of the college he goes to about the encounter, and she said that Bigfoot sightings in this area are common and that she and her husband had seen one in the exact same area a few months back. And in fact, I found this. This person's younger brother lived in a house with his parents about 2 miles away. He was playing in the woods when suddenly he saw a hairy man on a log. The hairy man jumped off the log and chased the kid. He came home crying. When he told his parents about the hairy man, his dad got out a gun, went into the woods, and found a gigantic bare footprint in the mud. I think this is pretty strong evidence for Bigfoot, because who the heck would go outside barefoot and chase a little kid? It must have been a very big and tall stupid person, or Bigfoot. Besides, it's nearly impossible to run in an ape suit. And this one was in Iowa. It was November 15th, 2009 in Clayton County. There's this person who was walking back from the woods to his car when suddenly he turned back around in the woods and decided to go tree knocking. And he took a long stick, slammed it against a tree. After 5 seconds, he heard a reply. His heart stopped. He took the stick, slammed it against the tree again. This time the reply was closer. He kept slamming the stick against the tree, the reply getting closer and closer every time. He figured the animal was racing through the woods, slamming trees with the stick. He ran to a creek bed and hid. Then he knocked on a fallen down tree 3 times. The creature went insane and started to scream and violently bang on trees. The creature was making so much noise that he could feel the vibrations from the noise. And this one, I think, was the best one yet. I saved it for last. It was in August 1969 in Curry County, Oregon. 5 boys went out camping near Babyfoot Lake in the Kalmiosis Wilderness area in Curry County, Oregon. At about 11 p.m., 2 boys named George and Matt were the only ones awake while the rest were sleeping. George went downhill to the car to get something when something that had been hanging around the car dashed back into the trees. Matt heard the noise too, and they said the noise sounded like a jeep going through the brush without a motor. 2 hours later, the fun just started. Screams could be heard from the distance. They woke everyone. It sounded like metal ripping in a factory, said the witness who wrote about the sighting. The creature making the screaming sounds was making its way towards camp. The 5 boys grabbed their machetes and covered their heads in their sleeping bags. For about half an hour, a creature with 2 legs was wandering around camp, while the boys shivered in fear in their sleeping bags. Finally, the creature left, and 2 or 3 of the boys peeked out of the tent to see a huge hulking form move away in the minor moonlight. And here are some pictures. Some pictures of Bigfoot footprints. This is a cast made of a Bigfoot one. This is a human one, just for comparison. And this is another comparison. That's a Bigfoot footprint, probably made by a Bigfoot. Could have been a fake, I don't know. And this is a normal guy's foot. As you can see, the Bigfoot one is a lot bigger. And that's my presentation.
We're running a little over, so 2 questions. All right, Caroline.
Okay, so based on all the sightings that you've read about and everything you've researched, how primitive of a state of mind do you think it is? Do you think Bigfoot are as intelligent as humans, or are they more like monkeys? How intelligent do you think the Bigfoot are?
Well, they're pretty elusive, so I think they're intelligent because how could they? People have known Bigfoot for like 60 years, but they haven't found it yet, so they must be smart enough to like hide.
And then on that, do you think that it's an instinct to hide, or is it?
I think it's
because like gorillas, they're smart enough to make tools and make beds, but they haven't been able to advance. So do you think that Bigfoot is stuck not being able to advance, or do you think that the Bigfoot race has been advancing alongside the human race?
I think they've been stuck without being able to advance. See you.
Do you think that, like, because you have all of these and Bigfoot's been around for so long, do you think, like, so there was a lot in, like, Washington, Oregon area, and then there was a lot around Nebraska, do you think there might only be, like, 3 Bigfoots that, like, move across the country?
No, because there's like sightings all over the place. There's like in New England, there's some in Florida, there's some in Ohio, there's some in Washington, there's some in California. I mean, there's like thousands per year, and a Bigfoot or 3 Bigfoot can't just be running around from state to state in there. Yeah, across the country.
Good job. Well, is there any DNA evidence? Hair?
The only way I think they can prove Bigfoot to exist is if they capture one by like knocking it out or something, and then bringing it to public for people to see.
That would be cool.
Good job.
Because I want to see a Bigfoot.